Dr. Cranky's here. Today we're going to show you how to put the pedals on and off. You won't see my face much because we're working down here on the ground, but pedals can often come loose or they get damaged. You'll have to replace them, and we'll show you how to take them on and put it back off. Pedals. There's two different thread widths. On the smaller bikes you'll have a 1/2 inch, and on larger bikes, or the more normal one, is 9/16 inch. So 9/16 is larger than 1/2. Only by a little bit. 8/16 will be 1/2 inch. So that's how they look. We put them together. Can you see that? One's slightly bigger than the other. So the smaller, this is 1/2 inch. This is 9/16. Both of them will use a 15mm spanner on that flat. You see that behind on the flat. So that's how you put them on and off. And the same with here. Sometimes they'll just be square. Occasionally you'll need to get, it's hard to fit that 15mm wrench in behind, and you'll need a thinner wrench to fit in there. Sometimes hard to come by, but usually you use that one. I'll show you what the other one looks like. Wait a second. The specialist pedal wrenches, they're a bit thinner, you can fit in behind. Ones with longer arms too. Before you put the pedals back on, when you remove them, it's always good to lubricate those threads so they don't get rusted and caught. So I'd use either a bit of oil, or even better, a bit of grease. And all you need is a little bit of grease in there just to lubricate those threads when you put it back in. It makes it easy to put back in, but it also means they don't get rusted, and they can get rusted in, very hard to remove later on. So put a bit of lubricant, oil or grease is best on those threads before you put them back in the crank. Important thing to remember about pedals is the left hand pedal is reverse threaded. So to take the pedals off, we'll first check for play. You know, if they're rotating fairly well, that's good. We need a 15mm wrench in behind here to the axle of the pedal. So if you come in here, you can see that's the axle down here, and it's got some flats on it. Some pedals will have a Allen key fitting in the back of it as well. Important thing to remember is you're going towards the back of the bike. If you can't remember which one is reverse threaded, which I can never do, you go towards the back of the bike to take it off. We're putting the wrench in here as we push back. Important thing to remember is you're going towards the back to remove it, but if we start in this place, then the cranks will just start to rotate. So we always want to be pushing down into the ground to remove it. So we put it in this position, and then we can push down into the ground, and we can hold the other pedal, but it's not going to move. We're pushing down into the ground. It's not rotating the crank arm, so we can push down, and there it goes. It releases. We go round and round and round. All the way off. Some people try to rotate it off with the actual pedal itself, not the axle. So there it is. It's quickly removed. On the inside of the pedals, it will say left, R or L. So this one says R, it's for the right one, and we can see it's a normal threaded. So to put it back on, we do it by hand. Start the threading by hand. If it's not feeling like it's going in, don't persist. We don't want to cross thread this. Yep, we're in behind here. Wrench in. But to this point it's hard to tighten because we're pushing the pedal, so we want the pedal, pushing the crank, we want the pedal to be around here, and again we can push down into the crank, and into the ground for tightening. That's that one. So that's the right hand one. The left hand one, the left hand one is the reverse threaded one. So to remove it, remember we're going towards the back, going to the back of the bike. to remove it. So yep, put it in here and push down against the cranks. There it is. Hold the crank while you spin it. You can see that the wrench often comes off those flats. Oh, there it is. And that says, can you see it? What does it say? L. L for reverse threaded, then we put it back on by hand. And often you'll find people that try to put the right one on and they've really persevered and cross-threaded it and made an awful mess, and then once they've got that on they try for the other side and misthread that. So one way, if someone has cross-threaded it, they've got it halfway in and it looks a bit like this, but it's cross-threaded. Sometimes you can salvage it by, if you can remove it, get the pedal off. Not get the pedal all the way off, so I was going the wrong way there. Get that pedal all the way off. And thread it in from the back. It looks a bit awkward with threading it all the way in from the back end. You can see we're starting to see it, and you find that little slithers of thread comes all the way through, so you're cleaning the thread out and then take it off. You got that all cleaned out, then you can start putting it on the correct way. So that's one way you can salvage it. If someone's cross-threaded it just a little bit, if they've gone three or four rotations in, that's one way you can save the crank. Otherwise you have to replace the whole crank and pedals, which is a real hassle. So that's one way you can salvage that crank if it's been cross-threaded. Little tools for doing pedals. Happy riding. We can do pedals now. Enjoy your ride. See ya.